Hey guys, Simon here for the Aether Hub and the first day of official spoiler season for Ravnica Allegiance, the second solo block in the trio set of our return to the plane of Ravnica. This set will be focusing on the guilds not represented in Guilds of Ravnica, those being the Rakdos, Azorius, Orzhov, Gruul, and my personal favorite, the Simic. And today we get a first look at some impressive mythics, rares, and planeswalkers. Buckle in, boys and girls, let's see what Ravnica Allegiance has in store. Here are two new planeswalkers making their debut. First up, the Azorius Senate got themselves a new leader, a familiar figure from Kaladesh, Dovin Baan. Now, when I think Azorius, I think law and order, control, preventing players from having fun, that kind of thing. Their leader, the Grand Arbiter, should be the shining example of that, right? Well, not so much in this case. Meet Dovin the Grand Arbiter, and thank God I never have to pronounce his last name again. This is a 3-mana planeswalker, Azorius colors, that comes into play with 3 loyalty counters. Its +1 ability, until end of turn, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on Dovin. Its -1 ability, make a 1/1 flying Thopter and gain 1 life. And finally, at a staggering -7 loyalty, look at the top 10 cards of your library, select 3 from among them and put them into your hand, and the rest go on the bottom of your library in a random order. So yeah, an Azorius leader, planeswalker no less, who doesn't really control much. I mean, he comes in and has a way to protect himself early, and he really does come down early with only 3 mana, so that's good. The life gain is minimal, but that body can really help. Its +1 though is very unique, as it doesn't do anything to the board, like at all. It makes creatures you attack with give you more loyalty counters to Dovin, assuming they get through, not very control-y in the least, at face value, and only supports the planeswalker itself. Making a 1/1 flyer, getting more loyalty counters, it all leads to his ultimate, which is actually kinda great. This digs deep, really deep, can be done multiple times, and you'll fish up exactly what you need to win a game. Looking at this in its own environment, it's almost like the most self-sufficient planeswalker around, but is that good? I'm not exactly sure. Blue-white wants to control, but Dovin here wants a load of evasive creatures to charge in to get as many of those counters as possible. It would seem like we have a contradiction here, but then again, it fits in a deck that already controls. He may not control himself, but he loves control. Get blockers out of the way, control their creatures to allow attackers in and not lose counters on the backswing. You'll get any card from your deck you need. Still, it's not the strongest planeswalker, but pretty serviceable for 3 mana. Still, its abilities make it hard to say it's a great limited planeswalker. By definition, almost all planeswalkers are good and limited, but its +1 seems very, very niche. But hey, it makes 1/1 flyers, so that's good enough for me. Now, loads of people are saying this card seems out of touch with the Azorius, and they hate the flavor fail. Sorry to say it, guys, but this is actually a flavor win. Remember, Dovin is a foreigner, and while he agrees with the ideals of the Azorius, he's not born into the Azorius. He brings his flavor of law and order from Kaladesh. The Thopter here was a good touch on that. And he doesn't control as much as he collects power and plans. That's where his authority and strength really comes from, planning and strategy, not out and out locking people up. In that, Dovin Grand Arbiter is the Kaladesh version of an Azorius leader. Moving on to the next big drop from today, Kaya Orzhov Usurper, aka the Ghost Assassin. For those of you who missed the latest conspiracy set, she's from there, and she murders ghosts. Gee, I wonder what she does to the previous leaders of the Syndicate, the Ghost Council. I just don't have a clue. Yet, while she's a badass in the story, does her new main set card live up to that hype? Spoilers? No, it doesn't. This is Kaya Orzhov Usurper, 3 loyalty planeswalker for 3 mana, Orzhov colors naturally, +1 ability, exile up to 2 cards from a single graveyard. If at least one of those cards were a creature, then you gain 2 life. -1 ability, exile target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1 or less. And finally, -5, Kaya deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards that player owns in exile, and you gain that much life. Whew, alright, let's get into this mess, cause I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for this, but Kaya kinda sucks. I just think this is an awful card. Sure, it's a 3-mana Planeswalker, so you should give it some leeway, and no, I don't play anything outside of Standard and Limited, so I can't speak on that, but for those formats, Kaya is not the badass I was promised from her ghost-murdering lore. So, flavor win is that she does exile the hell out of dead things, that's pretty sweet. But outside of graveyard hate, this Planeswalker does almost nothing. Actually, nothing. Not yet anyway. Right now, at the time of recording, what can it do? It helps against decks that use jumpstart cards or lessens the hit on Undergrowth. Okay, sure, and that makes this a sideboardable card at most against some niche decks. Maybe if there's a Reanimator deck coming soon, but right now, I just don't see it doing a lot. Oh, and to top it off, Kaya doesn't protect herself. It comes down and dies easily. I mean, come on, exile 1 mana cost permanents? That's so niche, and that's saying something coming from a man who runs an MTG lore channel. I know niche when I see it. In Limited, this is only going to gain you some life once in a while. Maybe Standard's going to have more things for this to hit, but it's still so narrow as to almost be unnoteworthy. Kaya, you let me down. Flavorful card, but right now, I can't see it doing anything in Standard or Limited. That's just my first gut feeling on the card. Anyway guys, that's just a quick video on some of the latest spoilers from Ravnica Allegiance, some of the more controversial Planeswalkers dropping in the new set. Make sure you let me know what your thoughts on these cards are in the comment section below. Are they good or just terrible? Make sure you leave this video a like, share, and of course subscribe to the channel to get more future videos. Support the channel on Patreon and join the Vorthos army to get other exclusives. As always guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time here on the Aether Hub.